In today's episode, we talk tours and experiences you may want to add on to your next vacation.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
You are listening to the Main Street Magic Podcast with your hosts, Jeremy Stein and John Marone.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein. I'm joined by my good buddy and Disney legend, John Marone.
Good evening.
In today's episode, we are each going to share our 3 favorite add-on experiences or tours so that you can better plan your next Walt Disney World trip. As always, make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com and like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at mainstmagic. So we actually each both came with a list of our own top 3 add-on experiences or tours. We have not seen each other's list, so this should be a little bit interesting. But John, let's kick it off to you. What is your number 3 add-on tour or experience? And again, these will be the ones that are paid. So a little bit extra money out of your pocket, but we're going to tell you they're well worth it. What's number 3?
Well, considering we haven't talked about these, it's going to be somewhat of a letdown if we each have the same 3. So it's nice that I'm going first. And, you know, as I thought about this, I was just thinking just 3 different flavor slushies from France, and I'm done, right? There's my
that'll definitely be another show.
There's my top 3 add-ons to any vacation. So if don't forget to miss the slushy kiosk in France, no matter what you do. So that is not my third. My third is La Nuba. So Cirque du Soleil as an add-on. And again, we talked about this on our first episode as my favorite show there. We have until December 31st to get it done. I just think for 90 minutes, the add-on, the price is not outrageous. For an add-on, you're going to be anywhere in that mid-50s to probably mid-80s, depending upon where you're seated. But a good show, family-friendly. It gets you to Disney Springs. There are so many good restaurants there to be able to eat at now for dinner that I just think it's a wonderful add-on to go ahead and do. I'm going to be interested to see what happens after the show. You know, I went, as we said, about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I received the survey in the mail, and the survey asked a lot of questions about the show, what I liked about it, different things that, I wouldn't say different things I'd like to see in the future, but where I'd like to spend my time. So hopefully they're gathering a lot of information to decide what's going to happen to that building and show once it's done. So I always like to read into those surveys a little bit. But by far, my number 3 into my top add-on is going to be the La Nuba show by Cirque du Soleil. And don't forget, buy the soundtrack. It has some great music on it as well. So, Jeremy, let's see if you have La Nuba as number 3.
I do not. And from what I'm sensing from our first show as well as this episode, I'm definitely got to check this out. We have not yet seen it. And John has let me know this is something I must take my family to before the end of the year. We're actually looking at planning this for November. So I'll be excited to talk to you, after we've actually done it. My number 3 is actually one I haven't done yet, but it's something that is on my radar, definitely on my wife's radar and our oldest daughter's radar, which is the Wild Africa Trek at Animal Kingdom. It's a bit more expensive as far as tours go. It runs anywhere between the $189 to $249 range. If you're under 18, you do have to be accompanied by an adult, and you have to be at least 8 years old to participate in this tour. So that leaves our youngest daughter out. I'm a huge fan of tours and seeing what there is behind the scenes, what goes into parks, what goes into rides and all those things. And we've recently become huge Animal Kingdom fans. A lot of people will tell you this is possibly a half-day park. Probably said that before Pandora opened, but still, I think this is a park you can go to from open to close. And if you add in a tour like this, it's going to last you several hours. I can only imagine how incredible this is. Might wait a few years till, both of our kids can go ahead and enjoy it, but that is certainly my number 3. So let's move down to number 2. What is the number 2 one that you have to do if you can add on a tour or an experience?
So if I have to add on a tour or experience, my number 2, it's 2 parts, so it's really, it still falls in number 2. It's either adding on the Halloween party or the Christmas party.
Yeah.
Our second episode of this podcast, we talked about what one we'd rather do. And hopefully there was enough tips in there, or at least enough to get somebody to choose one of the two. I think you can't go wrong here. It's a good add-on. Again, you're now talking somewhere in the mid-80s to 105 or so a person as an add-on. The party's from 7 at night until midnight on select nights, depending upon the type of season. And I don't think you can go wrong with either of them. You have special events. You have a special parade at each one that you're really only going to see during that. You have special food or, candy. You have special fireworks show that is not the typical fireworks show that goes on each night. So whether you're getting in the Christmas spirit or whether you're getting ready for Halloween season, there for the fall. The decorations of the park are both wonderful that time of year. Actually, we're going to start seeing the decorations for fall here up in the park real soon, considering the first Halloween party here is in August. But I think you can't go wrong with either of those as an add-on. I would definitely take one of those as my second one. So what do you have down as number 2?
Well, great minds think alike is the exact same thing I was thinking. And like you said, you can't go wrong with either one. If you can do both, even better. You can be like number 2 and number 2.5 maybe. For the price too, it is really good. And I understand that maybe a normal pass to the park that day, if you're not a resident of Florida, or maybe you're not a pass holder, can top over $100. But what you can do in those 5 hours and what you can experience at the price of $89 starting is unbelievable. Definitely something that you have to try if you're going to visit Disney. And like you said, either one. If you're visiting during the time of the Halloween party, make sure you add it on. If you're already planning to visit during Christmas, add that one on. If you have a choice, listen to our last episode and hopefully you can pick, between the two. But I love that we picked that as the same one because they're just absolutely incredible. So we'll count down now to the number 1 spot. What are you doing? Is it a tour? Is it an experience? I have no clue, and I'm very excited to hear it here.
It's an experience. It's a costly experience, but one that's well worth it. So my number 1 add-on goes on during Food and Wine. Goes on during Food and Wine on select Saturday nights.
Oh,
and it's Party for the Senses.
Impressive. I totally passed that one by, and now I'm kicking myself. And
the good part, and that's the one thing, there are so many different add-ons that sometimes just thinking about what to do is interesting. So Party for the Senses on the select Saturday nights is an exclusive event. It's limited in number of people. It's held in the auditorium building or whatever. It has a name that's between the United Kingdom and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So during the event, it has 3 different price points. This year, I believe the cheapest ticket is $149, which does not get you seating. For $199, you have a reserved seat, and I'll have to look up the price, but I think you can get reserved seating, get in early, plus you have a separate bar area, and you're right in front of the stage for $299, if I'm correct on the price. So what Party for the Senses is, it's a different theme each time, but you have either Disney chefs or celebrity chefs. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 14 different ones each time. You have vineyards that are there so that you can sample wines. You have, they've added beer stations, dessert stations. So it really is just a private, upscale food tasting and wine tasting event. In the past, they have had ice carvers, jazz bands. They've had the performers from La Nuba with Cirque du Soleil there performing. Last year, when we went, we had a musical group there that was excellent. So there's usually something going on in the background in addition to going and just gorging yourself. But if you think that you like going to the Food and Wine Festival and hitting the booths and trying something perhaps different, this is going to just ratchet it up. This is all top-notch food. Things that maybe you'd never tried before. I said that it was somewhat impossible to hit every single table and try every single thing, though Jeremy proved me wrong last year and was able to try absolutely every single thing. So,
challenge accepted.
Yep, much kudos to you on that. Something I haven't been able to do. I think I was able to hit every dessert one, but haven't been able to hit the all the different food ones. And, while the price is high, in addition, you still need your Epcot admission in addition to that. You have a private viewing area for the nighttime show afterwards. So this is an event that goes on from 7 to 9:30, and then you could walk down and watch the show. When I first started going, this is unique. So I found out about it, and I wish I knew the first time I went. It probably was 98, maybe 97. $50 was the cost. That included your Epcot admission. So if you didn't have it, you can get in. It was held in the Odyssey building, so it wasn't very big. But the way that it works is the chefs are very accessible. So while they're plating, they are right there talking to you. The only thing separating them from you is a small table and maybe even a hot plate. Some of them even come around on that side of the table where you're picking up the plate just to talk to you. Ask them questions. They'll talk about different food, the recipe, everything they put together. I've met Bobby Flay there, Rick Bayless, Morimoto, lots of different people. I was just looking through some old items I have, and I know from one of them I had an apron that was signed by every single chef that was there. So a lot of different things that go on with just a neat event. And as it's become more popular, they've moved it to a bigger place, and the price has gone up considerably.
Yeah.
But I still think it's well worth the price.
Definitely.
You have to plan for it. You got to get those tickets once they go on sale and pick your Saturday night that you want to do it. But by far, my number one add-on, something I look forward to all year, is being able to do one of the Party for the Senses. So knowing that's not your number one, that you overlooked it, what's your number one?
I definitely screwed up. I don't know how that passed me over. John and I went together, my wife and I, and him and Michelle, his wife, went last year, and it was amazing. And like you said, price of admission to Epcot, you're going to be there anyway, so you're going to enjoy Epcot. Even for $199 a person, if you were to add up hitting every booth and getting drinks and, having some wine, having some beer, buying some merchandise throughout Food and Wine Fest, this is still an incredible deal. I know $199 sounds like it's a lot, but it's really not, considering what you get. And you're not only getting the food, you're getting the entertainment, you're getting the atmosphere. And like John said, everything is so accessible. You're watching them plate these pieces of art right in front of you, right before they hand them over. I definitely missed that one for some reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I can't wait to do the Wild Africa Trek. My number 3, I'm just going to adjust right here on the spot, would be Halloween and Christmas. My number 2 would be Party of the Senses. I actually would not change my number 1. And my number 1 is the Keys to the Kingdom tour at Magic Kingdom. And there's a couple reasons. The first one is this is $99 a person, which to me is probably one of the most affordable add-on experiences and tours for what you get throughout all of Walt Disney World. It is a 5-hour walking tour throughout Magic Kingdom. We had a group of about maybe 9 people when we went back in April, my wife and I. And you got a headset. You have a tour guide that takes you all through Magic Kingdom. They'll start you off, and I don't want to give too much away, but they'll kind of walk you down Main Street, and you will learn some of the history about how Walt Disney came to purchase the land in Central Florida. You will learn some of what happens backstage, what happens behind the scenes of the rides. You actually get to ride a few of the rides with your own little group with no wait. You get to go underground, which isn't technically underground, but you get to see so much and learn so much. I've never been a history type of person until really I almost went on this tour. And to learn everything that went into creating, Disney World on the heels of Disneyland and the success that it had, it was incredible. You get lunches included. You get a little keepsake pin, and it was very interactive. There was not one point where we couldn't ask our tour guide a question, and they would stop in the middle of their tracks and answer it to the best of their ability. And what was really cool about this tour, I think, because it's so affordable at $99 a person, and you're going to get a different tour guide every time you go. I could see doing this every other year, just say, and because you're going to get some different stories. And our tour guide gave a little bit of her own personal stories behind it, had some slightly different takes on things that other people might, but I think that would still stick as my number one. But man, you got me on Party of the Senses. I'm so ashamed of myself that it just flew over my head. Maybe I didn't think of it as an add-on experience because it is like, I don't know, it's beyond this world how good Party of the Senses was. You could do that every year, and you could pay the money every year and not see the same thing twice, guaranteed.
Absolutely. So, Keys to the Kingdom. So, minimum age, correct?
Yes, there is a minimum age. A guest must be 16 years of age or older so they can book this tour, and there's a really good reason behind that. They truly take you behind the magic. They take you to the utilidors, which are underneath the Magic Kingdom, and there's a very good chance you could see, Mickey Mouse walking around with his head technically in his hands, or you could see a princess on their lunch break. So they want to make sure that they're not taking the magic away from any sort of guest that may be younger. And everything they do is on stage or off stage. So when you are in those off stage areas, they want to make sure they're not ruining magic for anyone. So we started the tour, and my wife, who is very much a child at heart, she actually asked our tour guide, is this going to ruin the magic? And the tour guide kind of just said, let's go through the tour. And at the end of it, she looked at my wife and said, did that ruin the magic? And Rhonda was like, it made it that much better. But for a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, it's the same thing. You don't want to reveal how you did a magic trick. Now, as an adult, you could reveal it to me, and I find that very interesting. It's cool to see how you did that magic trick. You don't want to do that for kids. So there's a good reason that there is that age limit on it. Again, $99 is pretty tough to beat. Wear walking shoes. They will give you a bottle of water to start, but if you can bring, some water, go ahead and bring it. Make sure you're prepared for that 5-hour trip. And I think it'll be one of the best things you could possibly do at Disney.
That's great. So there are so many different add-ons, as you've heard. There could be a tour. It could be food related. An add-on could be something at your resort. Plenty of different things to do. So as we said at the beginning, these were all the different paid ones that we just feel are our top 3. Always subject to change. So in the future, we do another one. We'll see if it knocks down one of these. And obviously, with La Nuba leaving December 31st, I'll have to come up with a different one there. In the future, we'll talk about some of the ones that are free that are available as well. But Disney, what we want to get across here is much more than just ride after ride after ride. Take the time, see what's going on around you, take advantage of some of the special things, and again, if you're in France, take advantage of a slushie.
That is the number one add-on experience for both of us, the slushie in France.
Yes.
Well, anyway, that's it for us, and please make sure you subscribe to our show on iTunes. Check us out on Google Play. As always, mainstmagic.com, Facebook, Twitter, mainstmagic, and leave us a rating and review on iTunes because that's going to actually help the show grow. That's all for now, and we will see you real soon.